Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will dive deep into global affairs and political science. So today we are exploring a fascinating concept in international relations, and it is Cobweb model. If you are studying IR or just interested in how the world of diplomacy and international politics works, this video is the one which you shouldn't miss. So let's get into it. Firstly, what is a Cobweb model? So, it is a metaphor that helps us to understand the intricate and interdependent relations between states in the modern world. In this model, states are like knots in a web connected by various threads, representing diplomacy, trade, security agreements, and cultural exchanges. This concept was developed to show how countries are no longer isolated players in the global arena. Instead, they are deeply interconnected, and the actions of one state can easily influence others. The model challenges older theories like realism, which often focused on states as independent, self-interested entities. So, why the Cobweb model? So, imagine a spider web. If you pull one strand, the entire structure shifts. Similarly, in international relations, if one state experiences an economic crisis, gets involved in conflict, or signs a major treaty, it has ripple effects across the world. The Cobweb model is particularly useful in explaining the complexities of globalization and the rise of international institutions like UN, WTO, and regional bodies like European Union. These organizations help manage the interconnected threads of global politics. So how does it work in practice? In practice, the Cobweb model emphasizes cooperation and interdependence. Unlike older models that predicted inevitable conflict between states, the Cobweb model approaches suggest that because states are so interconnected, they are more likely to cooperate to avoid mutual harm. For instance, economic sanctions on one country might backfire if that country plays a critical role in global supply chains. Take the example of global pandemic. Countries had to coordinate their health responses and economic policies even if they didn't always see eye to eye politically. The Cobweb model shows how interconnected we have become in handling global challenges. Now let's talk about criticisms of this model. Of course, no model is perfect. The Cobweb model has its critics. Some argue that it overlooks the role of power and conflict in international relations. While cooperation is important, we can't ignore that states often act out of self-interest and that power imbalances can still lead to conflict. Realists, for instance, would argue that despite global interdependence, states will still prioritize their own security and may engage in conflict if they believe it benefits them. So the Cobweb model can sometimes underplay these competitive dynamics. So what can we take away from this model? It's a powerful way of thinking about how interconnected the world has become and how the actions of one state can influence many others. However, it's essential to balance this understanding with a recognition that conflict, power, and self-interest still play significant roles in the international relations. So next time you hear about a trade deal, a diplomatic summit, or a conflict somewhere in the world, remember the Cobweb model and how interconnected everything really is. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into global politics and international relations.